MSI MAG321CURV gaming monitor is a brand new offering from the gaming company MSI, and is the first time that they've combined a curved monitor design with a 4K panel. The MSI MAG321CURV is part of the Optics MAG series. It's a 32-inch beast that can produce an extremely detailed 4K picture, a refresh rate of 60Hz and a 4 millisecond grey-to-grey response time. Its housing is made from metal and actually looks like a pretty smart offering for the desk, as long as you have the actual room. Now, the real estate needed for the stand is rather small, but the monitor does stretch out a bit with the full dimensions of 28 by 20 inches. The design is pretty minimal here, albeit smart looking. It houses a 31.5-inch VA panel with a curvature of around 1500R, as quoted on the MSI website. This makes the monitor pretty immersive, especially when playing first-person shooters or even racing titles. There was no noticeable stretching or distortion when it came to the left and right edges either, which was absolutely fantastic. The panel itself, being a VA panel, offers some wonderful viewing angles. Now, I had no issue with that at all. It can hit up to 103% of the sRGB colour spectrum, but only disappointingly 78% DCI-P3, which means for games that it's great, but for anyone wanting to do any kind of photography or video colour work, it's best really to look elsewhere. The monitor itself was extremely sturdy and it feels very, very premium. The stand, for example, is made from metal and fixes to the monitor using the VESA 100 mount. It provides tilt and height adjustment, but no swivel, which was actually a little disappointing. The monitor also features a 3-side borderless design for the top and sides, and the bottom bezel is also pretty skinny as well. The whole thing is covered in an almost matte black finish, although it looks more like gunmetal grey if the right light hits it. On the back is an RGB strip to give gamers that kind of gamer's aesthetic, but it's a far cry from something like the Philips Ambiglow technology, and it doesn't really do much at all. It's nice, but you're not going to notice it firing up from behind your monitor. Now, I have mine set on a fade type effect which cycles through all the colours, but to be honest with you, it just was pretty pointless. Now, on the back you will also be able to find for video a DisplayPort 1.2, which I use to connect to my GTX 980 Ti and also a 1070 Ti, two HDMI 2.0 ports, which I used one of them to connect to my capture card output on my PS4. Strangely enough, there was also a USB Type-C input, which will charge devices like my Google Pixel 4 or MacBook Pro. 3 USB 2.0 ports on the side, which you can use for connecting keyboard, mice, memory sticks and the like, and there's also a 3.5mm audio jack. Bear in mind that you will need to use a USB upstream cable from your PC to the monitor to take advantage of the USB ports for data transfer. There is also a driver software that you can install onto your machine which acts as the OSD. Personally, I preferred the app as everything was on screen, and even though MSI have adopted the joystick type interface to cycle through your menus, it's nowhere near as innovative as having all of the settings on screen in front of you. You will need a USB Type-B data upstream cable connected to your tower for this to work though, so do bear that in mind. The software enables you to change things like response times, brightness, contrast, and all of your finely tuned image settings right through to the RGB strip on the back. It also gives you the chance to save your own custom profiles, so you can switch on the fly depending on what type of game you're playing, and even set a picture-in-picture with different software windows open on your computer. In terms of image quality, unfortunately, this is where the MSI MAG321CURV slips up a bit. Being a VA panel, colour accuracy isn't the best, and images can look slightly washed out. One area though that is great is how deep the black levels are while still retaining some form of detail. The contrast ratio is quoted at 2500 to 1 and is pretty good for a monitor like this. There is also HDR capability, but it's almost laughable as the max brightness this monitor can hit is 300 nits. HDR as a standard needs to hit a minimum of 400 nits, so quite frankly, leave the HDR turned off. And more importantly, with it turned on, my games looked extremely washed out, especially when playing something like Destiny 2, where the vibrancy of all of the kind of energy types popping off during combat looked, in all honesty, just absolutely rubbish. The response time, however, is pretty good. I've set my monitor to the fast setting, which I feel was probably the best, or the sweet spot if you wanted to call it that. There is still a smidge of ghosting, but it's not bad at all. The normal or slowest response time becomes slower, which is fine for casual games for sure. On the fastest, however, there is a noticeable ghosting. It's not a monitor for competitive gaming, which I think it's a shame actually. Likewise, the input lag on this monitor is pretty off-putting, especially for PC games. Or PC gamers playing faster shooters like Counter-Strike Global Offensive or something within the esports remit. It's not something you'd notice if you're playing a casual game of Forza Horizon 4 though, on Xbox Games Pass, but what did I expect from a 4K 60Hz monitor, am I right? The MSI MAG321CURV is far from the perfect monitor. It has shoddy washed out colour reproduction, terrible HDR effects, and with noticeable input lag, it's very hard to recommend to PC gamers. However, console gamers don't write this off just yet. It has a sharp 4K image, and as you guys will be capped at 60Hz anyway, it fits hand in hand with this monitor. So thank you very much for checking out our video review of the MSI MAG321CURV 32-inch gaming monitor. If you enjoyed this review, then do click that like button. Please do subscribe to keep up with all of our latest tech and gaming videos. Also, we're streaming over on Mixer as well. There's a link in the description to that, so do come and say hi. We stream on a Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday night from 8:30 BST or 8:30 GMT onwards, British time. And also let us know in the comments below what you think about this monitor, whether you would go for something like this from MSI or you would go for something a little bit more focused for PC gaming. There will also be a playlist on screen for you to check out some very similar monitor videos that we have made. As I say, thank you very much for watching, and we will see you in the next video.